Okay, welcome. Oh, I was having some feedback from some appliance there. Welcome to Let's Talk Office Politics. We meet every Wednesday from 1 to 1:45 p.m., 45 minutes. And the idea is to give you an opportunity to share your experiences, to share your challenges, to share certain puzzles or some issues of concern that you may have at the workplace, and also as you try to accelerate your career, and so that you can receive guidance, receive expert advice. My name is Olatunji Shobodu. I'm your anchor, and this live stream, this launch hour business session on office politics is brought to you by Office Politics Champions Group. That's a group that is set up for the purpose of helping professionals, businessmen, leaders, executives, to navigate the terrain of office politics successfully. And of course, last week was our inaugural session. And at that session, I shared the purpose for the launch our business session. It's meant, for you to eat your cake and have it. Like I said in an earlier post, let's come together while eating lunch. Let's have fun, but at the same time, empower ourselves. All right. Somebody once said, when you are crying, you are seeing. All right. And that means that, whatever opportunity you have to learn, take advantage of it. All right. The world is not waiting. The world is continually in motion. And you want to make sure that you don't miss any opportunity, all right, to strengthen and empower yourself so that you can be on top of your game as you run the race of life. Okay, so I'm still expecting you to join, and I hope that you will take advantage of this opportunity. But while we're waiting for that and for, maybe questions and other contributions to come, let me use this opportunity to speak to a very important issue, one that we often neglect and that undermines many, all right, with regard to office politics. And that issue, you'll be surprised how important it is. All right. We have a saying that is fairly popular, but I think that saying itself is not strong enough to convey the strength of the point I want to address, at this session this afternoon. What's that statement we make? We say, well, the way you dress is the way you will be addressed. Okay, so it tries to tell you that, your dressing is important and that you will be treated, all right, in relation to how people will see you. That is, your dressing says something about you. But I think that is fairly narrow because it only focuses on dressing. There is more to how you come across or how you present yourself at work than just your dressing. All right. Some people might talk about grooming. Some people might talk about etiquette. All right. All of those are part of how you present yourself at work. And rest assured, that there are people who are watching and there are people who are taking note. And many times you don't even know who those people are. But one guarantee is that those who are the decision makers, they take note. All right. They don't allow those things to pass them, because such observations come in handy when push comes to shove, when the time to say something about you or to take a decision on you comes up. All right. They like to ensure that they are informed so that when that time comes, they will be able to take the right decisions. I want to put it differently today. And I think that this perspective will benefit you more than one where we just talk about, you know, the way you dress is the way you'll be addressed. And how will I put it? This is it. You may have heard this statement before, but in case you haven't, all right, is a scripture from the Bible, and it is a counsel that a wise person would do well to respect, all right, to embrace, and to put to use. And, you know, it says, let everything be done decently and in order. Let everything be done decently and in order. That's the way I would like to put that issue. That it's not only about, you know, how you dress, all right? What is important is the totality of how you present yourself. If you want to take it to the extreme, which is still relevant, but that's not my focus today, you would talk about your brand, okay? But let's leave that for now. I want to talk about decency and orderly conduct, all right? Both of them refer to how you conduct yourself at the workplace. You want to be well perceived. You want to be given the respect that you desire. You want to be, you know, to come across as someone who is valuable, who should be respected, who should be accorded his due at work. Then you have to pay attention to these elements of protocol. I call them elements of protocol. They are part of the protocol expected of you, all right, at the workplace. Part of the protocol. Number one, decency. In everything that you do, decency. So you can look at decency from the perspective of how you present yourself, how you dress. Yes, you should dress decently, all right? Your dressing should be appealing. Your dressing shouldn't be over the top. Your choice of colors should be consistent with the corporate, you know, prescription. Or it should be such that is not excessive. It's not seen to be, you know, outlandish. It's not something that shouts. It's something that reflects the nature of your work. If you're a professional, you want to be a bit more conservative in the way that you dress. You want to be a bit more conservative in your choice of colors, all right? If you are in an environment where the dress code is prescribed, you want to make sure that you are fully compliant with the dress code, all right? That is part of decency. It's also part of orderliness, all right? Decency is very crucial so that anywhere you appear, all right, you know, it speaks decency. I remember my days, you know, back at work, and over the years, one thing that anyone would say about me, for those who have worked with me, those who knew me back in the days is, how I dress. It's impossible for you to relate with me, okay, over any appreciable amount of time and not appreciate the way that I present myself. All right. My dressing, it speaks volumes. All right. The way I carry myself is part of it. The way I even walk is part of it. The way I gesture is part of it. All right. There's decency also in the way that I speak. All right. Decency is not just about dressing. Decency is also in communication. In fact, that's one area that many people, miss it. The way we speak to colleagues, the way we speak to superiors, the way we convey our points, especially when we're in disagreement with what some other people have said. A lot of people lack courtesy in the way they convey their message. In fact, even when they get annoyed, all right, yes, it's possible to be angry. It's possible for people, colleagues like yours, to provoke you, and they may do that deliberately. If you are not smart enough, you will respond to them in anger. But take note, there are decision makers who are taking note, and they are observing whether you have the capacity, all right, to accommodate disagreements, whether you have the temperament, okay, to ride situations where you are vulnerable. They are watching. And you may not be, if you are not sensitive, that's where they discover that you are not the kind of material who should be given an opportunity to take higher responsibility. At that point, you will be complaining. And you will complain about those things. You will talk about your targets. You talk about the fact that you have been doing well and all of those things. But the fact remains that you lack decency. And they have seen it. You've demonstrated it. All right. I listen to the way, some executives speak. I listen to the way some senior people speak. I listen to the ways professionals speak. Employees speak. They need lessons in communication. And not just how well, how clearly you can communicate, but the decency dimension of communication is crucial. All right. You don't respond to people the way, they come at you. You don't betray your lack of capacity, all right, to stand your ground, even at your vulnerable moments. All right. Some people will say, I will just give it to you the way you give it to me. If you do that, you lack decency. If you do that at work, you are digging your own grave. All right. People will take note. Nobody celebrates that. You may think that, in the general parlance, that is, standing up for your right or not coming across as being weak. All right. But no, there is the aspect of decency. You don't respond to people the way they came at you. You must demonstrate that you are more matured. You must demonstrate that you are more decent. When people disrespect you, don't disrespect them in return. When they abuse you, don't abuse them in return. You don't gain anything from it. If you're aspiring to go higher, all right, to climb the ladder, that's not how to conduct yourself. You need to come across as being more decent. You need to come across as being more decent. All right. There is decency also in the area of character. There are things you don't do. Okay. There are things you do not do. When you do that, it's like somebody fighting at work. That's why in many places, many environments, when you fight, it's a punishable offense. It's a punishable offense, in spite of the fact that, there are guidelines and there are, policies that are put in place. One of which is that if you get caught up in that kind of misbehavior, you are going to face disciplinary action, you still find people, who are caught in such misbehaviors. And the reason they are caught in such misbehaviors is that they lack decency. They lack decency. Decency is very crucial. Decency is very, very crucial. How you behave says a lot about whether or not you are a force to be reckoned with at work. If you lack character, you can't go very far. If you lack character, it certainly is a signal about your leadership effectiveness. You convey to those who take the decisions that you are not likely to be a good leader. And nobody wants to put people in your care, all right? Not being able to trust how you conduct yourself before them. I mean, people who lack decency becomes a problem to the people they lead. They become a problem to the people they lead. So decency is important. It's very crucial. It's the reason many people are stagnated at work. It's the root cause of frustration on the part of a lot of people. Ability or inability to get along with others, all right, in a decent manner, all right, decent communication, disciplined approach, decent presentation and grooming, all right, decent character. All of this are very important aspects that you must bear in mind if you want to navigate this terrain of office politics successfully. There is orderliness. He said, let everything be done decently and in order. Let everything be done. Let everything is a very wise and powerful counsel. And I work with that. I subscribe to it. And I know that it works. It's very unlikely that you find somebody who respects these vital protocols, at the workplace. It's very difficult to find something against such people. When you talk about order, order is also important. Where there is no order, there's confusion. All right? So think about it. If somebody's conduct is such that it does not have respect for order, it does not promote orderliness. I mean, what is the nature of the contribution that such a person can make? How much value can such a person add? Because the environment in which the person operates will not make for the right atmosphere for the best of people, to be brought to the table. Orderliness is very crucial. Now, one of the areas where orderliness that is covered by this concept of orderliness is this: compliance with policies. Make it a point of duty to comply with organizational policies. All right? Don't play down on the need to be compliant. Don't look at certain provisions or certain policies as things that, the organization doesn't really care, everybody's violating it, and so, you want to disregard it as well. That's not wise. The fact that everybody else is doing it doesn't mean that you should do it, all right? Because yes, everybody is doing it, but do you know how many people, all right, are unable to advance their career, to get what they want, to serve their interests because of those things that they're doing? You will think that the decision makers are not taking note. And this is where we fool ourselves. because somehow they get to know. And the fact that everybody is doing wrong does not mean that you should do it. There's a reason why policies are put in place, and they are put in place to be respected. Except, of course, where you have to make a choice between life and death, in which case you choose life. Why? Because laws are made for men. Men are not made for laws. All right, you see the balance there, okay? And before some people will quote and say what I just said, in order to support their acts of disobedience. And I would say this especially to those who are high flyers. Those marketing guys, those sales guys who always make a lot of money, who seldom have regard for procedure, for processes. And every time they are seeking exemptions, every time, they tend to violate, all because, they make a lot of money. And it often comes around to bite them. It often comes around to bite. And what usually these fellows don't understand is that you can make money while still complying with the policies of the organization. It is a wise thing to do. I mean, imagine you being promoted, advancing, just based on your numbers alone, all right, without taking note of the fact of all your violations. What if we make you a very senior person tomorrow? What if we make you a major decision maker tomorrow? What if you become an executive director? What if you become the CEO of the company? How are you going to conduct the business? Is that the time that you are now going to be saying that people should comply? Or are you going to be the chief, non-compliant officer? Because you have been used to it. And when you get to that kind of position, if you do get to that kind of position, you and I can just imagine the kind of CEO you would be. Not a very good one, I'm sure. Not one that anybody can celebrate. And that's not, that's part of why this is important. Compliance is crucial. Compliance is crucial. Ensures that there is order. All right. There has to be order also in other things that you do. Order in the structure of how you work, doing one thing before the other. Order in the way that you attend to your people. All right. Attending to one person before another. Ensuring that there is justice. So you see, there is an aspect of order that also borders on fairness and justice. One of the reasons why you have justice is so that there can be order, because where there are no laws, it said there can't be any, transgression. Nobody will violate anything because there are no laws. And imagine an environment or a community where anything goes. Nothing can thrive in an environment of confusion. Nothing can thrive in an environment of confusion. No one should expect to make progress in an environment of confusion. So if you think about it, maintaining order is for your own benefit, because you are contributing to an environment where even you can make progress. Because if there is a confused environment or an environment that is, bogged down by confusion, then, it becomes more problematic for you to advance the career that you so badly want to achieve. So order is important. When you talk about order, many people don't link it to justice, but that's important. Because if you play favoritism or favorites among your team, for example, or at work, or, such that some people get things easier from you than others, even though they came after, their request came after others, If you play such favoritism, then you are creating an environment of confusion. You are not showing respect for order. It may look far-fetched, but that's an aspect that is very crucial. When people play favorites, they are fostering injustice. Where there is injustice, there is great confusion. And that's not an environment that many people celebrate. Even if you are in a toxic environment, a toxic workplace, I would submit to you that perhaps the most important need of every human being, of you and I, is justice. We want to be treated fairly. I want to be seen as being equal to anybody else. I don't want, all right, to be treated as being inferior to any other person. Every one of us wants to be fair. I mean, we want the people, our bosses, our colleagues, the system, the organization to treat us fairly, not to put us at a disadvantage relative to others. So justice is a prerequisite for order. And if you are not respecting that in your approach, in your conduct at work, you are an environment of disorder and confusion. And you are violating a very basic principle. Indeed, a very basic leadership principle, which is that every member of your team, as a leader, must be treated fairly. Among your members, the playing field should be level. Leaders must never play favoritism. And now you know why. Let everything be done decently and in order. It's a protocol that will help you to survive at work. It's a protocol that will distinguish and differentiate you positively at work. It's a set of protocols that those who are superior to you, all right, as well as those who look up to you as subordinates, and indeed your colleagues, will respect. It's a protocol that will earn you, all right, great goodwill at work. And you know that goodwill is crucial if you want to progress. Goodwill is crucial if you want to be favored at work. This is one of the ways to accomplish it. This is one of the ways to accomplish it. All right, we're still talking today about the need or the protocol of decency and order at the workplace. It's a requirement for everyone, you know, who wants to succeed, to win, to have a story to tell, in spite of the treacherous play of office politics at work. So if you are not getting what you want, you know, and if you are one of those who always argue that you are meeting your targets yet, you know, you are forgotten, let me suggest one other place to look at, which might be the source of the problem: decency. Are you decent in your conduct? The totality of your conduct. Are you decent? All right. Is that something that everyone that interacts with you will say about you? And then, are you a person of order? Do you have respect for policies? Do you have respect for hierarchy? Do you have respect, all right, for fairness and justice? Those are elements of order. Now, somewhere in between this, you may discover what your challenge really has been. And if you have made it, well up to this stage, but you are still there in the game and you are still aspiring to go higher, then these are protocols that you want to give yourself to. These are protocols that you want to develop. All right. And, as you commit yourself to them, see how they bring great benefits your way. So I've been talking today about decency and order as essential protocol for your conduct in the workplace or at the workplace, and how they would help you to get along, all right, in that environment where office politics is real and you're expected to play it if you really want to make a headway, at work. Once again, for those who are usually concerned about, their faith, how should they play politics? Those who feel that, office politics is not good for their faith or is at variance with their faith, notice that the wisdom or the counsel that I have brought today, I have brought it from the Bible, for example. Let everything be done decently and in order. And you want to check out that reference, it's 1 Corinthians 14 and verse 40. All right, it's a powerful counsel. One single line, two critical elements of protocol. But many overlook that. All right, even the believers themselves. And we complain when things are not falling into place for us. Well, those are some of the reasons, and we have them contained in our manual. That's what I thought to share with you, ladies and gentlemen, today at the lunch hour date today. Thank you for joining. I believe a lot more people are still warming up. We had more attendance last week, but you can also get to check the video replay out on the YouTube channel, Office Politics Champions. But the advantage of being present is so that you can ask a question, any particular question, and we all, can help you. And like I said, you can receive expert advice or expert counsel. All right. And, all of that while you are having your break. That's why I said you can eat your cake and have it. Thank you, Mr. Lutade, for joining us today. Would you have any questions for us since you are here? If you do have any questions or any contributions, I think it would just be appropriate for us to take a word from you. Hello, is Mr. Lutade there? Or you weren't expecting me to call you? All right, so maybe he's just listening and may not be in a place where he can speak to us. That's all good. If you can, of course, communicate by chat, that's allowed as well. So that's it for today on Let's Talk Office Politics. Join me again next week, Wednesday. And if you watch the replay, try and make it a date. It's better live. You can ask your questions. You can ask your questions, in a replay. I'm sure I haven't listened to the replay by the time you are listening to the replay, you may have questions that you would like to ask. You know, they're the same questions that you could have asked, you know, in the live program. And I guess that would have been more fun. But it's all good. And once again, thank you for joining today. That will be it for today's edition. Next week, Wednesday, 1 p.m. promises to be another time. And I will still come prepared to share yet another very important aspect, you know, to improve your political intelligence and fortify yourself to play and win in this game of office politics. Thank you for joining me today. God bless you. Enjoy the rest of your lunch and the rest of your work day. Indeed, have a great week. God bless you. My name remains Olatunji Shobodu. God bless you and bye-bye. Take care.